This is easily the largest drawing I have ever done. Ever. So, welcome to my basement, art studio. Go away, kitty. So, I was sitting there thinking about what I wanted to put on this channel, about what I'm all about as an artist myself, and it just made me wonder what everybody does. Kind of what is art and why do we do it? And for me, I think the biggest reason is really the fact that it's kind of like therapy. It's very soothing and meditative, and your mind goes somewhere else. It'd be great to be able to teach other people new skills or inspire people in whatever my brand of artistic creation is. That'd be cool too. And it'd also be cool if people liked what I did, but I think in the end, the what is art question is whatever you do for whatever that reason is. We draw or paint or do whatever creative process we do. I think creativity comes from, it's definitely an act. One chooses to be creative, or at least to do something that creates, but there's also a weird element of muse to it, where you don't necessarily know where the thing comes from inside your head, but it comes from somewhere, and you have to let it out. Maybe that's a little crazy, but I think when you're in the zone, you know it, and when you're not, you know that too. And some drawings work and some don't. Jury might be out on this one, but I had fun doing it. Sort of what counts, I guess. But I was thinking about what to do with the channel and what to put on it, and I figured I would do what I like doing, which this is not sellable. I don't know, maybe unless someone particularly wanted something like this, but it's fun to do, and it's fun for me to watch other things like this, and so I figured I'd just go in that direction and do things I liked and hope that other people find it interesting too. I always find it interesting to see other people's process, There's so many art teachers out there that teach so many different methods of doing things, and it seems like everyone kind of ends up finding their own particular way to do the same thing, even though there's a lot of different styles and programs and rules, blah, blah, blah. But I definitely get something out of watching other people's process, and I want to contribute to that in my way. But this particular one was just a little break from watercolor because I get bored. So I found this craft paper from the dollar store. It's like a 30-inch wide roll of just brown thin paper. So I taped it to the wall, and I did not plan on the way the texture of the wall behind it came through on the paper, but I ended up thinking that's really, really cool. It's almost like an etching, but a gigantic etching. Pretty cool. This is a portrait of my oldest daughter. It's funny, it's almost as tall as her. Got chalk and charcoal all over the place. I had to re-measure towards the end because the mouth kept bugging me. It wasn't quite right. But that's something you got to get used to, I suppose. There's another artist that I listen to, and he talks about how he did it with paintings, but the process of creating a drawing or a painting is both an act of creation and destruction. You're working towards achieving the likeness that you want, but then destroying what doesn't meet that standard that you're going for. So it's getting comfortable with working in a direction, seeing that's not working out, and then taking a step back and changing it, tweaking it. And I think it's cool. You get into a project like this, and after a certain point you stop looking at the reference, because the painting or drawing itself starts to tell you what it needs. It starts to, it starts to talk back and say where it's going. And I think maybe in that little spot is a little bit of what makes art is leaving just the reference behind and seeing where you want to take it. And then maybe even harder than that is knowing when to stop. Because I started laying the white down, and then I was like, man, I don't know if I like it anymore. And so you're not going to erase all that chalk. So I sat there and I'm like, well, I guess I just have to make it work. And so I just put white all over and figured blend the white into the charcoal, and man, it just gets away from you. But at a certain point you have to decide it's done. I think for me a lot of the time that point is once you start to hate it, especially when you spend a little bit of time on it. Like a painting commission that's taken 6 months. It's been more than 6 months, I'm not gonna lie. Or maybe it's done when you can no longer figure out how to change it to make it better, and you just have to cut it loose and pick out whatever lessons you can learn from it and apply it to the next project. This gave me a fun idea to just buy a whole crap load of cheapo dollar store paper and just cover an entire room with paper and give the kids a gigantic box of crayons and see what they create. I'm kidding, of course. They'd spend like 10 minutes excited, and then, they'd be done. I also had another cool idea. I think it's cool. Maybe you guys can do something with it, but what weird things could you tape paper to? Like, you did the etchings in school. Like, I never thought of doing artwork over a surface like that, but there's all sorts of weird things you could stick paper on and have the texture come through, or things you could put behind the paper that would show through. Like, there's a weird piece of tape just above for the picture, the left eye, that shows through. Like, the whole strip of tape shows, even though it's like paper thin. It's crazy. And this is what you can expect from my channel. Things that I like to draw and paint, mostly charcoal if it's drawing, mostly watercolor and gouache if it's painting, and follow along if it interests you. Now I just have to figure out what to do with this stupid thing. There you go. And you gotta hold it. Yeah.
He said he was gonna let me be in his video. This is how
No, don't
he let
lick
me
it.
be in his video.